Welcome and thank you, Sydney, for giving us your time today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Sydney, how did you get started on this path of creating heaven on earth?
Well, I think it started when I was born in this life, just like all of us. We come in with a purpose to create something new and to create something that's never existed before. And sometimes that mission awakens through challenge, usually, and pain to, help inspire awakening and transformation. And so that was definitely my experience. And I was born into the perfect family. I love them so much, but also with a lot of trauma and addiction and pain and intensity and neglect. And was very sensitive and psychic and didn't really have tools or support to develop in a healthy way some of the strategies and resource that, I saw other people maybe had growing up from, families that were different. And this led me to get into drugs and alcohol pretty young, just as a way to cope. I felt so much anxiety really young, and I did that for quite a while, and then it was really like quite dangerous and nearly died a few times, and got bad enough where I finally chose. It wasn't so much of a conscious choice. I mean, there was just enough fear, motivated me to want to change and started on the healing path. And then in that journey came into awareness of my higher purpose, which is to create, or rather to remember the nature of our existence here on this planet, which is to be in paradise, to be in heaven, to really be present with the beauty, with the majesty of this dimension, and to really have reverence for being in a body.
So, how did you or when did you obtain your gifts?
I was born very intuitive and psychic, which also was an outgrowth of growing up in a lot of trauma. Most psychics and intuitives will relate that they developed their gifts out of survival to, had to learn, like, see what was going on to make sure you're safe. And so I developed very strong empathic intuitive abilities. I mean, it was just normal. It was like how I thought everybody was. And then again, in my healing path, I started to seek out a lot of different modalities that helped me to feel better and that helped to heal the nervous system. And I learned about energy healing, meditation, and really devoted myself to those practices, which really amplified my gifts. Probably around, I've been practicing as a professional psychic and energy healer for about 10 years. And I started to really explore those modalities more with like a disciplined approach as I got sober. So, yeah, a little bit over maybe like 12, 13 years ago.
And what is your process when you channel?
Well, nowadays it just feels like being present. We're all capable of being channels. We're all channels. We're all channeling energy all the time, constantly, whether it's conscious or not. When I'm doing a reading with someone, it's a more conscious, intentional process of receiving information for someone's benefit or for collective benefit. And when I'm speaking to someone like you right now and just open and I'm listening and I'm present and I'm sharing what's alive and what feels true. And this is also a form of channeling, even though it's not overtly, named as some kind of extraterrestrial being is speaking through me or something like that.
So, we're always channeling, I guess.
What comes to mind is there's a lot of hype right now and misinformation out there, and people profiting highly off of spiritual entertainment and getting really excited about aliens and like their ability to channel other consciousness. And yeah, it's a great time to cultivate very clear discernment of what you feel is helpful and true and authentic and yeah, what's really useful.
Any tips to someone that is interested in channeling?
I mean, it depends what your intention is. So the first thing that comes to mind is how do you cultivate your presence? Channeling is a really natural, like the kind that I think you're referring to, which is to channel information from different dimensions and different consciousness, becomes more natural when you heal your nervous system to be able to stabilize in presence. And most of our world is very overstimulating and chaotic and designed, and I would say intentionally, to keep people out of presence. So, what are the ways that we can each cultivate practices? It's usually a matter of practice, devotion, discipline to actually train your body, your system, your energy to be present and to develop stability, to be able to withstand high frequency energies. What a lot of people don't talk about, which I've went through, learned the hard way, and then I now kind of train people in developing capacity through facilitation training, akashic records. I teach these modalities, and um, to really effectively channel information clearly and to be able to articulate it requires developing more capacity to work with very high frequency energy and multidimensional information. And so it's not a logical process. There's an embodiment process required to really support your nervous system and just your body to feel safe, to rest in presence, and then to be able to listen, to be able to calm the mind, to be in a living meditative state, which I'm not perfect at, but it takes practice.
There's just so much happening on the planet. Any like insights to what is taking place and where humanity is going with this?
Well, to your point, it's actually the perfect training ground. If you really want to be present and connected to source and be the channel that you are, this is the perfect training ground. Life is giving you all of the perfect challenges to rise to learn, to grow, to cultivate your way of developing presence within yourself, because each person will have a different way. I feel this guidance strongly coming through. So, hmm. We're really being challenged to move from the mind and the mental way of orienting to reality into feeling, into feeling deeply. This is where our multidimensional senses, guidance, and direction can most powerfully communicate to us and through us. And that this is also quite challenging and can be overwhelming because think of all the trauma that people are holding in the body, and it can be so scary to feel it and to face it and to develop the capacity to hold oneself through these integrations. And yet it's really what everyone is being tasked with now, because if we it's the frequency on the planet is increasing at such an accelerated rate. It's actually that the planet is holding such an elevated frequency. We're being challenged to really catch up and attune with it in a much um, like a heightened way of like just more vibration, more information, a lot more streaming through us, and it's requiring more clarity. Think of us as channels of light and electricity and energy. And blocks in the channels tend to be trauma, survival patterns, fear, negativity generally, right? And so we're being challenged to really clean out any blocks and resistances to allowing our full source energy to flow through. And this is going to be so amplified over the next year, over the next 3 years, especially. There's like kind of this milestone phase I've been shown. And they say too, it's important to not be so attached to time or timelines because things are changing so rapidly. Let's not get too attached to there being some end in mind. Again, we're here to be present. Like, what can we do today? How can we take care of ourselves today to clean out things that feel old and heavy and dense and that are not serving? And where can we feel? Where are we holding back feeling something, anything that needs to be acknowledged and really integrated and learned from? We're learning, it's like little babies learning how to manage energy more maturely and effectively. And this is what everyone's really being challenged by, especially now. And you might see people that, this requires a lot of courage and bravery to go into being authentic and present, and we could use more examples of what this really looks like in the world. And those who do not choose to, kind of accept the challenge of doing this work, which we're all being tasked with, it will be painful. Like I don't mean this in a threatening way. It's just what I've been seeing. Like the body will the energy backed up in the body, it will naturally catalyze physical ailments and pain and, just like short circuiting because your energy system can't freely flow. And physical things will happen to get your attention, to hopefully look deeper and do this deeper somatic, feeling centered work to help relieve your system of stress.
A lot of people are clearing. That's why it feels like it's chaos, but it's actually a good thing because eventually, once we're all cleared up, we'll get to, we'll reach a point of heaven, I guess. Heaven on earth.
There's no end. And the mind wants to attach to the idea of a destination which doesn't exist. So it's a paradox. Like when you're in a moment of crisis or pain, it's really reassuring to hear a promise that, oh, when you do this, then you'll get that and it will be done. But my experience is we're never done. And as long as we're alive, there will be more layers. There will be more to feel. There will be more pain. There will be more growth. And we learn to detach from there needing to be a particular outcome by a certain time. We detach from time, we detach from the identity wrapped up in the pain or in the resolution. And it's a really different experience living from a more present place, and that heaven on earth is actually already here when you choose to be here.
Now, you mentioned Akashic Records. Are you able to just give a brief description of what it is and how it can help people?
Yeah, this is a field of knowledge and wisdom memory that we all have access to. There's the Akashic field of this planet, which is what most people refer to when they mention the Akashic records. And then there's also the super Akashic plane, which is something I've been teaching about in the last couple years and feel like sharing more about now. It feels like it's more the time. There's more openness to entertain the possibility that we have a lot more of information available to us from, beyond this universe even, and from other universes and from dimensions that we would consider to be in the future, things like this outside of time. A really simple way to relate to the Akashic plane is just, I like to call it the known field. So it's a dimensional plane of memory and history of all of the different timelines and histories of all the souls that have ever been, that are now, and that will ever be. And so we have this library. It's often depicted as a library, information we can access to really give us guidance and direction on anything at all. And I would say lastly too, lately, the last couple of years, I've been finding more and more access to just direct energy healing transmission through this plane.
What has been the most important life lesson you've learned in this life?
You are enough. I'm not done yet, but that's like the main one.
And what is your definition of God?
Thank you. That's a really important question that we would all do really well to sit with and answer for ourselves now. That question is actually the theme of this next cycle we're moving into energetically. Like, I think for the next 100 years, like, this is something like that. It's this movement into reclaiming our own understanding of God and divinity for each person outside of religion, outside of philosophy, outside of dogma, teachers. Like, what do you believe? And what you believe is all that matters because it's your life, it's your reality, it's your connection to source. Nobody else can tell you what it is. And it's so important to cultivate that understanding because there's so much information in the world of, like, people taking the power away of choice, right? And saying this is what it is and you have to do this in order to get access, right? There's a lot of misunderstandings, control structures that are falling apart now around this. So let me see, what is it today? Can I share? And it may change too. It's like, can we be willing to be flexible and adaptable and open and curious, right, about so many of these constructs? We're really being challenged to become more flexible and less identified as well, less rigid. For me, I love this acronym I heard a long time ago. Good orderly direction, God. That God, source, energy, creator, I relate to as a field of consciousness that is the source of all creation, and I can tap in with this energy anytime I choose. That it is the energy that animates my life force, that when I'm really open to receive, this is what is the energy that is guiding my life. And as much as possible, I want this energy to guide my words, my thoughts, my emotions. And it has a design. There's a greater design to my life and the destiny of my soul that I'm awakening into. Remember,
What if someone is having a really difficult time connecting with their true self? Can they do?
the words I hear are go where it's warm, so everyone will have a different resonance to support and guidance that can help them. But yeah, we're not meant to do any of this alone. We can't grow in an echo chamber alone. We grow in relationship. We heal in relationship. A lot of what people are dealing with when they can't feel their true self is shame. And they feel ashamed at a deep level of who they are and what they are, what they've been through, or they've been put through a lot of trauma that's overwhelming, and they're cut off from their source. This is very common and really painful and can be very isolating. I think suicide's at an all-time high on the planet right now because it's this isolation and then it's so bizarre. It's insane. We have these like hyper connected, you would think we're so connected. Social media and we're doing YouTube, YouTube, all these things, but it's people are so isolated and alone. And that a lot of these systems actually create more separation and distortion and play into the insecurities that people are killing themselves over, like, so it's really important if you are desiring to awaken and feel more of your true self and your source and learn to love and accept yourself, to really live your purpose, and even have the privilege of thinking about your purpose. This is a privilege question. A lot of the world is just living in survival. You can't think about your purpose and your spiritual development when you're thinking about if you can eat. This is a lot of the planet is in basic survival. So personal development, a conversation like we're having now is a privilege, that's something I'm aware of. And I wish that there was more resource available for people to access more easily, like information to help them and people, examples. We need examples in the world of what it is to be true and authentic and real and tapped in, and more people sharing vulnerably about what they've been through to transmute the shame and to take people off the pedestal, and thinking that all these people have things so figured out and they're perfect, which is what a lot of social media promotes. And it's not true. We all have a lot of challenges, pain, trauma. It's so important to humanize one another and to really get to know what people have really been through and to be courageous to share, the pain and the shame and the healing that's required to live fully. It's a brave journey.
I guess I know there's no timeline, but in human third dimension, when can we see that? Like, when can we see that change where everybody is no longer in a survival mode?
I don't know. What I hear is that it's a choice. There's a very deep invitation for people to wake up and take responsibility for themselves and their journey, and to really wake up and be real. And the more people choose consciously to do that, the more momentum there is towards the external change that we know is inevitable. That I feel, and I mean, I'm an eternal optimist, and that wasn't always that way, but now I'm like, you know, it has to happen within my lifetime. Like like I see it. I can feel what is possible. Like the changes, the shifting infrastructure, the borderless countries, freedom of travel, more redistributed resource and support, no people going hungry. It's like we have it all. We could make the choice today to live in a more thriving planet where we take care of each other and we take care of the planet. Like we can do this now. It's just a matter of consciousness level, right? Being at a level of coherence where that choice can be made enough, or enough people are catalyzing that momentum. Because a lot of people think like, oh, I'll build the new system, or like even me, like I'll build the new social media app, or I'll build this thing. But it's like you can't build the thing externally if people still internally and in their consciousness are playing the old game. It doesn't work. You don't fix the insides. Well, there's really nothing to fix, but you don't help to change an internal energetic with an external system. It just doesn't work that way. It's like the insides must shift, the energy must shift, and then the external system shift. And then really, yeah, when we are orienting from a different consciousness, I think we see also completely new potentials of the things that we could build to better support us. I think it becomes much more clear and simplified, actually, the solutions we require. And again, we'll be leading more from this heart and intuitive space and not the mind and the mental limited space, which tends to see things more linearly and rigidly and just less creatively. So I don't know. And the guidance again is like, let go of timelines. A lot of channels and people are like the predictions for the next year. And that's great. And we all have different sources of information. But my guides say, be very discerning of listening to other people's information and to really listen. I'm saying this to everyone listening, like listen to your own information. Like, what do you feel? What do you believe is true? Can you actually get quiet enough with yourself and be with yourself and ask? Start to even ask and play and be curious. What do I feel is going on the planet right now? Does it actually even matter for me to put energy into exploring that? Or would it be a better use of my energy to really tune in with my body and my energy system and ask, okay, wow, how can I support myself right now to feel more stable, to feel more present, to feel more clear? Would it be helpful to receive support from someone else? What might that look like? What do I really need right now? I think that's the more important question we want to be asking, because maybe some of these external, longer term predictions can be a distraction. It's just easier, right? It's like, oh, well, this is happening next year, so blah, blah. Yeah, totally bypassing, distracting, avoidance. It's just, again, there's so much nonsense out there. And gosh, I feel so much compassion for people that are waking up right now, like brand new. I remember what it was like. And I was just so hungry for information and help and like, who can I listen to? Who can help me? And it might not have been realistic for someone to tell me, like, sit with yourself and ask yourself what you need. Like, maybe that's an more advanced request. But after all this time, that's what I've learned is really the most effective thing, and that the best teachers I've found constantly reflect that back to me. Because I don't want to give my power away to anyone else. I don't want anyone else to give me their power. We're each here to be very powerful beings, and we have no idea how powerful we are. Every single person alive on this planet is astounding in their energetic potential. And we've been conditioned for a long time, centuries, to be cut off from that power. And it can be terrifying. A lot of what people are also confronting now is this fear of feeling powerful, of feeling more energy running through the body. It's scary. And there's trauma memory of having been killed for being a powerful being in the past, or even in the other dimensions or planets. And it's, there's a lot of trauma just beyond this life and your birth. And there's a lot of multidimensional navigation. And these layers, we can integrate these though. We're such powerful beings. We have the capacity to transmute so much. It's incredible. And that this can be supported, with people that you can really trust, who walk in integrity, who are doing the work themselves, who want to, who are leading with the heart. And yeah, the more people we have like that, again, being examples, being available, being open, the better.
Is there such a thing as dark beings?
Yes.
How can we, I guess, I wouldn't say protect ourselves because we are powerful, but how can we avoid those dark beings?
Keep your frequency high, be present, do the practices that help you stay clear and peaceful, and be be really, when you know who you are, there's no fear.
And
Dark
what
entities feed off of fear and anxiety and kind of these different entities that play out a lot through our media and social media and all the insecurities. The dark, generally like dark energies or vampiric beings, of which there are many. It's just a part of this reality, but they exist in a lower dimension. They can only really interact with you if you are at a lower frequency range. Otherwise, you're invisible. If you're in your frequency, which is meant to be vibrating at a higher level, you're at a different, you're invisible to them.
what's on the other side?
Which side?
Well, once we leave this, once we leave the body, where do we go?
That is a really somehow that's coming through in a really interesting way. That it is a unique journey for each being, um, especially now. There have been openings, dimensional gateways opening more recently, where there can be different pathways. Whereas previously it might have been a more simple answer of like, you go to this plane, the seventh plane or the transitional plane, and then you go into the God realm or whatever people have different language to describe. It occurs to me now that there may be other pathways a soul may choose to take where you can go into different um, dimensions or through time in different ways, and that it may be a less linear progression of like going to the transitional plane and then, or someone called that the seventh plane or something, and then back to source or God realm or different like experience of just being an energetic being. It's funny to play in English words, they're very limiting.
So now you mentioned guides, your guides. Who are these guides?
Too many to name. Infinite creator source, legions of angels, uh, councils of light through many planes, elementals, higher dimensional aspects of myself.
What would you like to say to someone that's going through a very tough time? You've experienced your own. If somebody is going through a lot of suffering and pain, what message would you want to give to them?
I know what it's like to not want to be here. Uh, it can feel really hard to be here and to feel the reality of this plane. It's, I think, a healthier response to feel depression at sometimes, because there's so much insanity and unnecessary suffering. It's healthy to feel pain, to feel the sadness, and to grieve. Um, so I'm affirming anybody that's going through a hard time. It's part of the process. Let yourself grieve and feel what you're feeling, but know that your existence matters and that you're not alive for like a random, it's not random that you're here. It's not a mistake that you've incarnated here. Your purpose is important. Your existence matters. You are part of a much larger game and puzzle, really dependent upon your life. You're part of a really interconnected, intricate design, and that your life gets to be about discovering what that is and developing this resilience within yourself, developing true self-love, which sometimes can feel impossible. And again, the whole world around us is really telling us the opposite. And I believe every single being alive on this planet is a true warrior. We wouldn't be here for this time otherwise. And your perspective of reality can really change if you can hold that awareness of yourself and also other people. No matter how crazy or hurtful or whatever it is, it's like, how can we hold ourselves with this deep compassion? It's very hard to be consistent at this. Again, I'm not perfect at it, but it's a really good reminder for me to hear as well. Like, How do I walk through life holding myself as this, like, masterful warrior being, not in an egoic way, but just like this reverence. Like, wow, I'm this soul in this body, in this reality, and I'm here for a purpose, and I'm here to contribute something new, and I'm here to create beauty. I'm here to be an example of truth and love. How do I do that? First and foremost, for myself, to take care of myself, to make sure my needs are met. And then how can I, from this place of overflow and resource, really see other people like that, even when they can't see themselves like that, especially when they can't see themselves like that, And then how does the whole world really shift when we're holding that type of reflection?
Are ETs real?
What do you think?
Yes. Yes, I do. I do believe they're real. I mean, some of us are ETs.
You said it. You're so cute. I'm like, hello. It takes one to see one. Yeah, there's so many of us here that are, hybrid and, beings integrating a lot of different dimensional aspects, experiencing walk-in souls, experiencing big frequency downloads of different consciousness from different planes we've been very familiar with. Some of us coming from different timelines altogether, incarnating here to support and guide and helped others to remember and also help to reseed certain information on the planet that has been lost. And I'm getting a little shoulder tap. And a lot of the clearing out that's happening over the next, 3-year period, the next year, accelerated clearing, purging. It's a deep purging of fear through the collective nervous system. We've been getting little previews and tests over, it's been a while. It's been like 30 years, since like some of the disclosure has become more publicly presented. And it's amazing to see how the conditioning of the collective consciousness is so rigged to like block out information, even when it's like presented on a silver platter. So we will be having contact. This is already happening and some with some people who are ready, who have been preparing. I'll just share from my own personal experience. I feel that I've been being prepared more directly for the last like couple of years, maybe 3 or 4 years, with some of the energetic practices I've been downloaded with and guided and to focus on to help cleanse my body of the deep fear. So that when contact, I mean, when a being appears in my physicalized reality, I have contact etherically all the time. I mean, right now, like I'm surrounded, but physically, right? Like the physical presence of an ET being in my room, or in my house. Can I be present? Can I be clear? Can I be open? Or will I still have fear in my survival? It goes very deep, right? The fear programmed from, again, trauma, other dimensional memories. There's a lot clearing, right? To prepare oneself to be available. Um, and it's fun to imagine. Like the idea of it sounds great. And when I'm really honest, I'm like, yeah, I wonder what that will be like. I wonder if I'll really be how I can be ready for that to when that contact happens, that it's completely normal. It's like connecting with another person. It's the same in a way. And we'll see. I wonder what it will be like.
So when you were growing up, was your family religious? Um, and what are your thoughts on spirituality? What is the difference to you when it comes to religion and spirituality?
One of my favorite quotes I'm remembering is religion is for people that are afraid of going to hell. Spirituality is for people that have already been through it.
That's
I love
perfect.
that. So yeah, that totally makes sense. I mean, religion has a lot of dogma, control, fear, like you have to do this to get this, whereas spirituality is being alive.
So that's another system that's going to break down eventually, or is already breaking down.
Oh yeah, 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 totally. And I didn't really grow up. I mean, my parents are so cool. I kind of grew up in a hippie. We went to like lots of different churches, and I was exposed to many different philosophies like Quakerism, Unitarian, Universalist, all kind of leaning more towards like liberal, you know. But yeah, religion for sure. Those are like religious institutions. Like we would go to the Episcopalian, like kind of hippie church in San Francisco for a time, and um, yeah, I'm grateful for, and we go to like the Baptist church in San Francisco for their choir and like the holidays. So I was exposed to a lot of diversity, which I really appreciate.
Any final word you want to say?
I'd like to end with the energetic practice or kind of like a healing experience. How's that sound?
That sounds perfect.
Cool. And this is for some of the people, everybody really, but for those we were mentioning who are going through a, challenging time in their journey and just wanting some support to feel more peace and to feel that attunement to a sense of center and source within yourself. And so my intention with this is to share a way that you can do that for yourself. And I'll guide us through something. I don't know exactly what will happen yet, but I'll guide us through a brief couple minutes practice. And hopefully this is something that you can continue with and make your own. Okay? Sound good?
Sounds perfect.
Cool. So we'll begin by closing your eyes and just take a few deep breaths all the way through your body as deeply as you can. Allow your system to just slow down. And see if you can breathe deeper into the belly or even in through the base of your spine, all the way up to the crown of your head. Intentionally extending the in breath and the out breath. It's almost like imagining you're filling a glass of water really slowly as you inhale. That your body is the cup of water and you're just filling it up as you breathe in. You might even feel that sensation of water flowing, the breath flowing, more light flowing. Really allow your body to relax, release any holding, relax the muscles of the face, relax the shoulders, the back, the core, the legs, fingertips and toes. You might even stretch out the muscles of your face a little bit to give your jaw a chance to really release, let go. This time is for you to connect with yourself, to connect with your heart, to fill up your own cup. And then see if you can feel your heartbeat. You might even place a hand on your heart or just energetically feel and sense the heart beating. Starting to feel the rhythm through your whole body, through your whole energy field. Maybe you start to feel every single cell vibrating in unison with this heartbeat. Now take an inhale through the feet. Breathe in some energy from the earth all the way up through your body. Feel yourself really anchored into the earth. Maybe even drop some energetic roots down into the earth's core. Breathing in from this deeper place, the heart of the earth, into your own heart. Filling your whole being with this grounding, nourishing, cleansing energy of this beautiful planet where we came to remember heaven on earth. And as you're exhaling, imagine any densities or old ideas, energies, just nothing you need anymore. Slowly, easily, just melting out of your body, out of the field, kind of magnetizing out into the earth. Any low frequencies, cleansing, clearing, purifying away, going back to source. Letting more of your home vibration expand through all layers of your being. Hmm. And lastly, imagine this waterfall of golden white light just pouring down through the crown of your head, all the way down through your central channel of your spine, expanding out through the body, through the energy field, powering you up with beautiful, nourishing, expansive energy, lighting every single cell up, golden white light. Just feeling what it feels like to be you. And a deep inhale, breathing this golden white light even deeper into your being. Take another deep breath, breathing in the energy of the earth through to your heart. Saying to yourself internally, I am here. I am here. I am here. Claiming your place, claiming yourself for you. Mm. Nice. And then I'll take one more big deep breath. And then exhale with a sound or a sigh. And then two more like that to really ground yourself in. The sound or a sigh. One last one. Ah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was lovely. Just a reminder that to do this more often.
Simple. That was about 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and it's such a good reset. You can do it for longer. I have a ton of free guided meditations you're welcome to check out on Insight Timer and YouTube and or just anybody, any kind of resource that helps you, to just relax and be guided and just surrender. So, so helpful.
Definitely feel recharged. And if somebody wants to connect with you, Sydney, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can connect with me at my website, sydneycampos.com. And then I'm also on Instagram, just with my name. And I want to mention my two books that cover a lot more practice, like similar to what we just guided, a lot of practices for nervous system healing and trauma healing and connecting to yourself, especially my book that came out last year, which is called I'm Ascending, Now What?
And then what about the one before that? So you have two books out. What's the first one?
The, the first one is the Empath Experience, What to Do When You Feel Everything, which is a lot more about energy mastery and developing intuition and learning about, boundaries and taking care of yourself as an empath.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure
Thank you.
chatting with you. Thank you.